Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Now, I flagged this video yesterday. I said that this one would be coming because there's a lot to it. You see, the problem Scotland's got with housing is, first of all, there isn't enough of it. Secondly, the housing that is there is expensive. And thirdly, not really anyone is now building. There's some building, but not much and nowhere near enough. And certainly low cost, affordable housing, either through schemes where builders will be forced to build low cost units or low rent units as part of an agreement for a larger site, or where councils pay for social housing. These aren't popular with builders. They try to reduce them down as much as possible because they're just not making any money. They don't get their return on investment. And after all, building companies are not charities. They are legitimate businesses that must make a profit by law. A director who fails to make a profit can actually be prosecuted because he's not fulfilling the duties to the shareholders. It's actually a crime for a company not to make a profit. People don't realise this. But because of policy, many policies, many mad, dangerous, stupid, ignorant policies from both the Greens and the SNP, there is virtually no chance at all now of ever having low-cost housing. Because even low-cost housing is now, for many, completely unaffordable. And we have to ask, why? Why is it that even low-cost housing has gone beyond the acceptable range for most people? Now, East Dunbartonshire Council is typical, I suppose, of many councils. It brings in its own rules. It has its own planning departments, and they must adhere to this, and they want to do that, and they want to show how virtuous they are by making sure that this happens and that happens, and all the other bullshit that goes on in planning offices up and down, not just Scotland, the whole of Britain, to be honest. But then you've also got this madcap government who keeps saying stupid things like they must hit certain EPA targets, or there must be certain things done on the house this way for environmental purposes, or, madly of all, they've got to have heat pump heating, which nobody wants and is horrendously expensive. And so this council now is in the middle, I suppose, of a civil war within the council. It's a really massive bun fight going on because they insisted on these eco-friendly homes. They were supposed to be low-cost units. But they had to be eco-friendly. They had to match the council's ethos on caring for the environment and all that bollocks. And of course, they had to obey the Scottish government's insistence on the various eco things that they have implemented at a legal level. It's law. And so, how much do you think these low-cost, affordable houses are costing? Well, you ain't gonna guess. £585,000 each. Low-cost housing, getting on for £600,000. By the time you've thrown in your legal fees and whatever, you're looking at £600,000. It is absolutely unbelievable money. The average cost of a house in that town, East Dunbartonshire, the average house cost is £150,000. But the council insisted that these new ones had to have this, had to have that, had to be eco-friendly, had to have something else. And so now you've got this council finance boss sitting with his head in his hands and admitting that these affordable houses are anything but. They are completely unaffordable houses. When you're talking nearly £600,000 for a house, you'd expect a really, really good house. These houses aren't even good houses. They're just expensive houses. They're not particularly large by standard. Large-ish, but not massive. And yet, because of the things that they have to do, the price mounts up. Because obviously, when the builder has to do something, we have to put this in by law, or we have to do that because that's what the council insists, that comes with a price. The price of the product, the price of the installation, and so forth. And so that just gets added. But it keeps getting added. It's not just one little thing. It's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of things. The thing is, they'll finish building these houses and no one will want them. They won't even be able to sell them because people are going to come in and go, lovely house. Oh, I like this house. Nice area. Heat pump. No thanks. And off they go. Sure, you get one nutter will buy them, but I mean, the resale value will be through the floor. So anyway, this SNP-led council, East Dunbartonshire, is insisting that this is the gold standard. Whereas it's actually not even the gold standard. They know they can't afford to build to gold standard, so they're going to their silver standard, right? Which is not quite as good as the gold standard. If they built them to the gold standard, they'll be looking at £700,000 to £800,000 for each house. Mental. But they have to have these standards, and these include mandatory, legally bound home office space, for example. They have to have recyclable waste storage area separate from normal storage area for waste, because eco-friendly. But, you have to have heat pumps. It has to be the internal walls, not the internal walls, the external walls have to be slightly wider to encompass a triple layer system. This all adds on to the cost. This is extra bricks, extra blocks, extra mortar, extra time. Brickies ain't cheap. Now, I don't know if anyone knows East Dunbartonshire. It's just outside Glasgow. It gets a bit cold. So you want thick, warm, nice houses, and they are. But then you've got to heat them with heat pumps. Yeah, ain't going to work. And electricity is way more expensive than gas. So even if you move in and go, all right, okay, well, we'll buy it, we'll have it, whatever, you're either going to be very cold or very poor trying to run these houses. Now, why would you, as a council, insist on these low-cost housing costing 4 times as much as the standard housing in the area, and then also moan that you've got a housing crisis? Would it not be better to say to the builders, look, we've only got this money, we can't afford 15 houses or 10 houses, however many houses there are, at 600,000 each. I'll tell you what we'll do. Just build 5 terrace rows for the same price. We'll knock them out cheap and we'll get a load of people in them. That'll help. But no, this is the SNP. Now, I'm sure the houses are being built to sort of maximise energy efficiency, and that's a very laudable thing. But who do they think is going to buy them? There's certainly no one below, I don't know, 80,000 a year perhaps will be able to afford them. They won't get the mortgage on them. There's not that many jobs at 80,000 a year in East Dunbartonshire, I'm sure. It's absolute madness. And they're not the only one. It's not just them. We're just picking on these people. It's all of them. And this, of course, is why the house building industry in Scotland is a busted flush. The builders are going to put all this money in. No one's going to buy the houses. They can't move on and build anything else. They need the sale of those houses. And who's going to buy a £600,000 house in a place where the average house price is £150,000? Because your neighbours ain't going to be great. And I'm not being snobby about it, but the people who can afford a £600,000 house ain't going to live in a place like that. They're going to go off and buy somewhere in a nicer suburban area with a better class of neighbour kind of thing. They'll be snobby about it. That's how it is. That is exactly how it is. It's absolute devastatingly stupid. And how much do we think these houses are going to cost in all with the planning and this and that and the other to do? I mean, it's millions of pounds pissed away with nothing to show for it. If planners would just simply curl up and die, and if governments would stop interfering with house builders, there would be no housing crisis. There would be lots of houses. And when you have lots of houses, the prices come down and people can afford them. Self-inflicted injuries. Stop voting for the SNP. People who vote SNP are doing this to themselves. Because you can guarantee they're the ones that are at the bottom going, oh, well, if I keep voting SNP, eventually it will get better. No, it won't. No, you see this. SNP council, SNP government, £600,000 for an affordable home. Madness. Thanks a lot. Bye.